Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning into your very own and very first Husky Dash, where you can get all of the commentary you didn't know you needed. I'm Joseph Claypoole at 9 3/4, joined by at Nathan Mathisen today, and we're going to be discussing the 2021 recruiting class, who the next quarterback's going to be. But first, we're going to give you a quick breakdown of the Pac-12 postponement, as well as our own opinions on it. Nathan, do you think you can give them, for our viewers out there right now, just a quick rundown of that?
Yeah, sure. So, as most of you probably already know, the Pac 12 has pushed all fall sports back until at the earliest January 1st, 2021, which has just really been heartbreaking for a lot of these players who have been so eager to start their seasons. But now, because of COVID-19, they'll have to wait until at least January, and quite possibly the season might not actually happen for football. So, Joseph, what is your opinion? Do you feel a spring football would be beneficial, or do you feel that it could only cause harm?
I'm looking at this spring football season that's coming up with the absolute most optimism that I can. Like we have a brand new offense coming in because of the brand new offensive coordinator that we have. We have a brand new quarterback that we're about to discuss, and nobody's familiar with each other right now. We had a terrible summer season due to COVID. We have no fall season now because of COVID. And we're not likely to have like winter training or like infield training during the winter. So spring is the first time that our Husky football team is going to be able to institute this new like pro style offense, and it's going to be the first time that we truly get to see a new quarterback come in and like get fleshed out with the rest of the team. But because of COVID, the number one thing that should be on everyone's mind is player safety. And when we get into, not if we get into, when we get into spring football, that's got to be the number one thing that stays in our mind.
As you look at the spring football, you talked about how we haven't had a normal offseason. So perhaps just postponing the spring football season, making that more practice starts opening up, could be more beneficial, and just pushing the actual season back until 2021 fall. So kind of just erasing this whole season, leaving the new systems being implemented more thoroughly. I feel that could be beneficial. And other things, the player safety, as you pointed out, would kind of it wouldn't be good with spring season, because what's going to change in the next 3-4 months in this? There probably won't be a vaccine, so it's really just going to be the exact same situation. So certain players like Levi Onwuzurike or Elijah Molden, some of these leading seniors on the Huskies defense, who they'll be looking to go to the NFL following this season. They've got like first or second day grades on them. They might rather just take this time to train and actually skip out on a spring football season, which would then cause, as Nick Saban said in an interview, this season to become a JV season. Nobody wants to watch JV football in the spring.
Well, I mean, you still got to remember that like football is about the players. It's not necessarily about the fans. Like the people who come first and always will come first, especially in safety with COVID here, is the players. And one of the biggest things that they did not take into account when canceling and postponing this football season for the fall was player opinion. Not once in any of the reports that came out of their multiple board meetings, their 25-letter acronymed groups, did they talk about talking to players and what they wanted.
But still, you look at looking on the beneficial of the colleges. You say they aren't talking about players, but the liability issues which caused this season to be pushed, it's still going to be there in January and February. There's not going to magically, COVID's not going to magically disappear. And we're still going to be talking about the colleges being liable for the player safety. It's like, what if one of them contracts COVID-19 and they have bad symptoms and they have heart issues? It's going to be put on place of the college.
Yeah, I mean, you have a great point there with medical issues, but in my head, what I'm looking at right now with the spring season is we need training, we need games, some form of games. They don't have to be travel across to other states, to other teams. Like if it's practice squad games that we get to run during the spring out there in even being on the field would be a huge plus right now. Like we have zero training right now as our new offense, as our new defense, as our new team. We have zero training. I mean, you pay what, $250 to get on an airplane? That's more risk than seeing a couple of players out there on the field in the spring.
That's true. But maybe with what you're thinking of, maybe just have spring practice then, not actually spring games against other Pac-12 schools. So just let them come back to practice
I'll be completely honest right now. I would be happy with practice. If we got in-person practices, if we got to the point where safety, that's first in my mind, where safety first allowed for full team practices on a field, that's what I want to see. That's not what only I want to see. That's what the team needs. They need that right now.
No, I agree with you. They need to get on the field, and whether it be actually in a spring football games against other Pac-12 teams or just spring practices, they need to get on the field, implement their new offense. They need to learn the new styles of their offensive coordinator. They need to learn all this new stuff. And so if it's just spring practices, I'd be happy with that. But if it somehow actually is spring football games against other Pac-12 schools, I'd be all for that. But I just don't think that's possible. I just don't think games will be possible for this season.
Well, I mean, we're gonna just have to wait and see. That's what it's gonna come down to. How fast they get a vaccine out, how fast and quickly testing and safety protocols can get implemented and put in place in the university, and how quickly the rest of the country can follow suit. Now that we found common ground and that therapy session's done with, I think we should move on. And so next up, talking about this future, the future plans, what's going to happen is, how's our 2021 recruiting class coming up? Because football is not just going to end if COVID goes on forever. Yeah. So we've got to be looking to the future. I know you have a favorite pick from this 2021 class. You want to tell me about them?
Well, first, let me just do a bit of a summary on the class. I'm a pretty big fan of what they've done. They've got 14 current commits for their 21 class. They've really spread it across, and it's the number 5th ranked class in the Pac-12 right now. I'd like to get that a bit higher with some more big names. 26th national rank, which is, it's good.
It dropped?
Yeah, it dropped down.
We were at 25 like 2 days ago.
Yeah, it dropped down 1 just recently. So we'd like to get that back up. But the name that I'm most fond of is Jabez Tene. He's a wide receiver 4-star out of Kennedy Catholic, which I believe Sam Heward, the 5-star quarterback, is also out of Kennedy Catholic. So they'll have a good repertoire. And the thing I'm looking forward to with Jabez Tene is just his ability to get separation and his hands and just his overall route running. Wide receiver is something I feel the Huskies have been lacking the last couple of years, ever since John Ross and Dante Pettis. They've just been lacking at that position. And that's something you need to succeed. You look at these schools, LSU, Alabama, Oklahoma. They all had these top receivers like CeeDee Lamb for Oklahoma, Jamar Chase, LSU. And the Huskies, who have they had? Ty Jones, Jordan Chin, Terrell Bynum, no big names. And that's hurt the Huskies, I feel. So I feel Jabez Tene could really elevate their game.
You know what? I am so happy you said LSU, and I am so happy you said that. What was that first school you just gave me right before LSU?
Oklahoma, Alabama.
Alabama and LSU. Two schools that have just released amazing running backs into the NFL. And I, as an old school player, someone who's loved the run game, who's loved getting hits on offense and defense, what I want to see is a running back come in and dominate the game. I mean, I said it already, I'm old school and I love the running game. I played running back for 8 years. I play rugby now. I played linebacker. I played safety. I played all over the place. All I wanted to do was hit, and I wanted to run the ball down their throats. And so what I'm looking for in this recruiting class is this kid named Will Latu. He's insane. He's insane. That's all I have to say. I've watched his clips on 24/7 Sports, on Max Preps, whatever website you want to go to find this guy. He's great. He's just coming into college. He's played running back and safety. He's listed as an athlete. I mean, they don't just list people as athletes on these websites. I mean, you've really got to show that you are not only a human specimen in terms of physicality and mentality, but you've also got to be able to know the game and play anywhere you can. And that's what this kid has. He has intangibles. The only thing I'd say bad about him, and the reason I'd even let you argue that someone else is better in the class compared to this guy, is that he looks like he's just bigger than everybody in high school right now. I mean, he's putting up crazy numbers, but he might just be bigger.
No, I agree with you. Running backs, it's a position you need, but the reason that I didn't really look towards him as a recruit I'm looking super forward to is because I like the running backs that the Huskies have right now. I mean, led by Richard Newton, he showed strong glimpses. He's a power back like you like. I feel that what they really needed to improve at was the wide receiver position. And that's why I'm really looking forward to Jabez Tene. I mean, he's got
Yeah, I mean, what you said about running backs is great, and maybe I feel a little slighted by the university. For everybody who doesn't know, because I'm sure none of you do know, I tried out for the UW team 2 years ago as a running back. Did not make it. Just not. I'm not tall enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not heavy enough. Definitely not endurant enough. And so that's why I want to see this kid Latu just get pushed forward and make it. I mean, he's a 4-star recruit. You don't get 4 stars out of nowhere. This kid has talent and he has the intangibles to make it. And I'm looking at him as the number 1 prospect in this 2021 class.
You look at that, you talk about the strength, but then I'm looking at Jabez Tene. He also has some strength. What I looked at with what I saw first off when I watched this film, he has running back legs. He's able to break through tackles. So you're looking for a guy who can power through hits and break tackles, which you need. Well, Jabez Tene, look no further than him. He's able to take contact like most slot receivers can't. He can go on a slant route. He can take a hit from a middle linebacker and he can keep going. He's got the ability to run any route. He has some of the best route running I've actually seen from a high school prospect. He's 4-star, just like Latu. And he's also got great vision. He was a kick returner too. And then he also played defense. So he's got that grit you're looking for. He had multiple highlights of just sacking quarterbacks. That's not even looking at his wide receiver, which is what he got recruited for. So he's got everything you're looking for in grit, tenacity.
I don't know, Nathan. I just don't know. I mean, you say he can run through hits and he can take hits from middle linebackers, but this is the high school level. I mean, when I was playing in high school, like the biggest linebacker in my league was maybe 5'11", maybe pushing 200 pounds. I mean, this kid's taking hits from kids who are maybe like half a foot shorter than when you're playing kids who are in like 3rd string. These kids are like 5'3", just came out of middle school and can barely lift their own body weight. And he's taking hits from those middle linebackers.
Well, he's taking hits from the same middle linebackers that Will Latu's taking hits from. So you can't dismiss his competition versus Will Latu's competition. They're both high school, so you gotta say it's gonna get harder for them. But they showed glimpses, so that's what you gotta look for. Jabez Tene showed glimpses of taking contact. He showed that, so you just have to look forward to that. And he might not be able to break all these tackles from middle linebackers in college, but he's still got power. He's got speed. He's got hands. He's got route running. He's got it all. He's a well-rounded receiver. He's not like a normal slot receiver. Sports Illustrated ranked him as the number 4 slot receiver in the class, and they ranked him that for a reason.
Where were the first 3?
Well,
they're not in our recruiting class.
Husky should have recruited them.
That's why we dropped the position. All right. So one thing I do want to talk about with this 2021 recruiting class is something that I found super interesting. I think that our recruiters were just chasing stars. They were chasing the 5-star recruits and they wanted one. And the only one we got was a kid named Sam Hubbard. And you're not going to believe
Sam Heward.
Heward. I am so sorry for pronouncing both of those B's. That is my fault. He's a quarterback. We have 4 quarterbacks, and he's a quarterback.
They went for Sam Heward. I mean, they didn't have to go too hard because he's the son of Damon Heward, the Husky legend from the 90s. So they got him, and they may have spent too much effort on him when they could have been going for someone like JT Tuimoloau, who's a defensive tackle, and he's a 5-star too. He's actually the number 1 ranked in the nation, which they've still got a shot at him, but maybe if they spent more time earlier, he'd already have committed to him. So
yeah, I will say I've been watching Sam Heward's tapes. Did I say it right that time?
Yeah.
Let's check that out. Perfect. Thank you. I've been watching his tapes. I've been watching his 7-on-7 film. I don't care about the high school games. I mean, I think kids there are just too small. They're undersized. Yeah. Like, to showcase talent there is like, okay, cool. You're showcasing talent against kids who are in the 10th grade. The only thing that I could see with Sam Heward coming in out of high school and into these 7-on-7 camps against nationally ranked receivers, linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties, whoever you want to talk about. The only problem with it was that he occasionally held the ball too long. I mean, this kid's accurate short. He's accurate in the mid range, and he's accurate long. I mean, this kid was throwing
Yeah,
bombs in a
he's a 5-star recruit for a reason. He was trained well by his dad and his uncle, who was also NFL players. But he's not someone that I feel the Huskies truly need in the long term, as they had incoming freshman this year, Ethan Garbers. He's shown he's someone I'm really high on, as we'll get to later on.
Ooh, I know you love Ethan Garbers.
But that's just what I'm feeling. Sam Heward is a great prospect. He's hopefully he does great. Maybe he gets the job his sophomore, junior year, and he can lead the Huskies to the college football playoffs again. But they might have wanted to spend more time recruiting guys like JT Tumaloa or the other Emeka Egbuka, who's a 5-star wide receiver that they're still trying to get, but he's looking more towards Oklahoma or Ohio State right now.
Yeah. This is actually a great time with this conversation on Sam Heward to transition into our quarterback debate. Mm-hmm. Really quickly before we move on, though, I just want to let everyone in the audience know, for our current 2021 recruiting class, we've got one 5-star, we've got 3 4-stars, and then we have 10 3-star recruits currently lined up for this 2021 incoming season. As we've mentioned, Will Latu, Sam Heward, and Jabez Tane, right?
Yes.
All included in that class. I think that we've picked up Sam Heward. I take that back. I know for a fact we picked up Sam Heward because he's going to light a spark under the butts of these guys who are currently competing for the position. And with that, I want to hear I know who your number one pick is, actually. You love Ethan Garbers. Tell me why.
Yeah. So I just love he's something different than what the Huskies have had before. They've been with Jacob Eason, Jake Browning, who, like Jacob Eason, he's 6'5", 240 pounds. He's a strong arm quarterback. Jake Browning, he's a pocket passer. Ethan Garber's not like them. He's not short. He's 6'3", 190 pounds, but he can move in the pocket and he can escape. He can make all the passes. He's accurate. His high school record speaks for itself. Senior season, he was 16-0, won the state championship with the other Husky incoming freshman, Mark Redmond, who's a tight end. But Ethan Garbers, he commands the full attention of his team, and he dominated in high school. He dominated
in high school. Yeah. It's high school.
Well, that's what you all look at for all these recruits. If they don't dominate in high school, they're not going to be anything. But you look at someone like Jacob Sermon, he's been on the team for 2 years. He hasn't been able to win the starting job. So why should he be able to win it now? Or another guy like Dylan Morris. It's his second year on the team.
Dylan Morris is going to take it. That's my call.
You think Dylan Morris?
Yeah, he's going to take He's going to take the starting job. I think they're going to put. I honestly think that they're going to put in. They're going to put in Jacob Sermon or Kevin Thompson in first. That's going to go half the season. Like if we had a normal season, right? They'd be running up half the season, and then they throw Dylan Morris in, and that kid is going to shine. Like he's prepped to take this job. It is his job to take right now, and I think he's going to do it. He's going to do it. He's going to take the job. He's going to showcase his skill, his talent. I mean, he redshirted 2019. He was awarded the Offensive Scout Squad MVP at the postseason banquet for the Huskies. And that tells you right now that he can adapt and learn quickly because he's changing offenses every week. And right now we're putting in a new offense. And what that means is we need someone who can adapt, take up this new offense, and run with it.
That's true. But with Dylan Morse, one thing that I don't like about him is he's not the most agile quarterback, and he's a little short. He's 6 feet tall. Well, Russell Wilson's this amazing runner. Dylan Morris is more of a passer. He's not someone like Ethan Garbers, who on a 3rd and 4 play, he could get out of the pocket. He could run for 5 yards and slide. He could make that.
You're talking about passing. I have 2 really interesting statistics here for you. Ethan Garbers in high school finished with 5,034 passing yards, right?
Yeah.
In all-time passing yards in the state of California, he finished 3rd. Records, all-time 3rd. You want to know who he finished behind?
Jake Browning.
He finished behind Jacob Browning at 1 and 2. Now let's talk about Dylan Morris, right? He came out of high school finishing above Eason, our last quarterback. He finished above Eason in all-time passing yards there in high school for his state. And so right now, if we're looking at, we want a better quarterback, not just one who's as good or can run the ball or do this. We want a better quarterback. I'm saying Dylan Morris is the man.
Now, you have good points. Dylan Morris, he can throw the ball. He can do great passing. He's accurate. He's got all these great skills. But really, Ethan Garbers has those same skills and more. I mean, like you said, Ethan Garbers can throw the ball. He threw for 71 touchdowns. That's only behind Jacob Eason. And that's in one season, 71 touchdowns, 25 interceptions. That's a pretty accurate quarterback, 70% completion. He can make all these great throws. He's a great decision maker. He led his team to a championship. He's got to make great decisions there.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you want to take leading your team to the championship, just taking them there, that's something. I'm not 100% sure on what Dylan Morris did in high school in terms of championships, but what I do know is that he's been here and he's been tested in college football. Ethan Garbers has not. He's a freshman. He's untested. He has zero college experience. He does not know yet what it's like to play.
Dylan Morris's only practice is his only skill, like his only time in college is practice. I mean, that's nothing like a game. So they're basically both coming in on same footing as Dylan Morris practiced with Chris Peterson as the coach. So he's actually coming in and he's going to be learning a new playbook, just like Ethan Garbers is. They're both learning a new system. They're both going to maybe struggle, but Ethan Garbers' upside, I feel, is greater. He's got more mobility, which I truly do love in a college quarterback, like the likes of Jalen Hurts' mobility. Even he's got Ethan Garbers' mobility is more like a Joe Burrow's mobility. He can make that run, and when it's needed on a fourth down, he can get out of trouble in the pocket and run. He's not going to be Lamar Jackson, but he's not going to be Jake Browning running behind the line of scrimmage getting sacked. He's going to be able to escape.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Let's talk about these last two quarterbacks, the two guys we haven't touched on. The two guys I don't think are going to do much for you in the next coming years. First is Kevin Thompson. The dude's old.
Yeah,
he's like older than Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, he's like 24, maybe 23.
He's pushing mid 25 right now.
Yeah,
he's a week or two older than Patrick Mahomes in the NFL.
He's a graduate transfer from Sacramento State. Before then, he was at another state for school for 2 years. I can't quite place it. And I mean, he played good. He was the Big Sky Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, Big Sky. He played good in the Big Sky Conference. That means nothing.
There, 9-4, 3,200 yards, 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. But I don't like graduate transfers. I'm not a big fan of them, especially at the quarterback position. When you want your quarterback to be someone who's with the program for 3-4 years, you don't want someone just to be a placeholder, especially when you have these young talents like Dylan Morris, Ethan Garbers. You've got these young guys who need to just get playing experience. You don't want them sitting behind Kevin Thompson, who I don't think he can do that special of.
I don't know why we picked – actually, I take that back. I know why we picked up Kevin Thompson, and it was to make these young guys feel like their job and their position was under attack. I mean, the kid has been around college football for a very long time. I don't know if
I'd call him a kid.
You're right. I shouldn't be calling him a kid. This grown man has been around college football for a very long time. He knows what he's doing with offenses, and he's been in tough situations. I don't think he was a smart pickup. He was not a smart pickup. Yeah, outside of the fact that, yes, he might be lighting a fire under these kids' butts to get them worked up for the season that's coming up. But I mean, when you look at his numbers and what he's done, like, yes, he was in Big Sky country and he racked up these huge amounts of like passing yardages. But when he comes in, it's a brand new offense. In reality, in like the coach's eyes, I don't think he's making. I'd be amazed if he makes third slot for the board. I doubt he's any higher than third string.
I mean, and then besides him, we've also got Jacob Sermon, who he's a popular pick. A lot of people would pick him to be the starter.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, he's 6'5", 235 yards. He's like a Jacob Eason twin. He's got a cannon for an arm, but he's really coming into the same situation as these freshmen. He's new offense. He's got to learn that. And then with him, you'd only get another 1-2 years.
I will say, though, for him, though, he has been around for 2 years. So so he knows where, like, the water cooler is. Like, he knows where the extra water coolers are compared to the newer guys. But one thing I think that this means is from the coach's perspective. And the reason I call this kid a dark horse is because from the coach's perspective, he's been there and the coaches know who he is. When you're putting in a new offense, you want as few variables as possible because you're already experimenting with all of these things that your players are trying to learn on the fly. And the only person who has the entire plan in their head is the OC. And so what you want is less variables. And right now, the reason I have Jacob Sermon like listed as dark horse on this dumb piece of paper with blue ink is because he's been around and the coaches know what he can do.
Yeah, the coaches know what he can do. And he hasn't been able to win the starting job the last 2 years. So I don't know what'll make him better this year. Maybe he had a great offseason in this quarantine time. I don't know how he would have done that. But maybe he'll improve and he might be able to win the job just with his experience. The coaches know him. But I bring it back again to you want a young quarterback, I feel, who then –
yeah, like Dylan Morris.
Yeah, well, Dylan Morris or Ethan Garbers. Those are my top two. I'm siding with Ethan Garbers just off of his flexibility. But, you want a young quarterback, 4 years in the program. By his junior year, hopefully we're back in the college football playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, if we're playing college football playoffs in June, one, that's going to be hilarious because what are you going to do about other sports? I mean, these stadiums aren't like rent-free for the football teams all year long when they want them. There's other sports out there. But seeing these four guys compete, you know what? I'm throwing out my entire game plan. I don't care what anyone here says. I think Sam Heward's going to come in, practice throughout the year, and take the starting position come the 2021 fall football.
That's a bold move.
Sam Heward's going to do it. I'm even going a step further. Sam Heward is going to be the shorter next version of Aaron Rodgers.
That is very bold take.
I mean, look at him. He's what, a senior right now in high school, coming into college. The kid has accuracy that is insane to me.
I mean, he's got accuracy. He's got all the things you'd want. So I'm not going to be shocked if he's starting in 2 years from now. I don't know if he'll be starting freshman year with these other young guys who I feel make a great push for the job. And if they actually have a season this year, that'll be great opportunities for these young freshman quarterbacks. And that's why I feel Sam Heward probably won't be able to win it right off the bat. I mean, you look at it, these guys, especially if it's pushed back till 2021 season football, these freshmen will actually have been in the program for almost an entire year learning the playbook. So they'll have it all down. Sam Heward will come in having to learn the entire thing fresh. That's why I wouldn't put Sam Heward as the starter for his day one. Maybe
day two starter.
Day two starter.
Day two start 2.5 if you really want to push it. If you want to make an argument, I'll concede a little bit. I'll go 2.5 day starter. They eat lunch, they're going to talk about it, and they're going to be like, "Hey, you know what? The sandwich is absolutely amazing. Sam Heward's starting for the rest of the day."
That's bold. That's
my call. I mean, just look at the kid. I mean, he's amazing. He's left-handed. He's 6'2". He's 190. He's throwing up amazing numbers in high school. I mean, I'm not kidding. I shit you not. When I was watching his film, I analyzed him harder than I looked at my own plays in high school. And this kid, he keeps his eyes downfield the whole game. Again, I said he's accurate in the short, the mid, and the long. I mean, this kid was throwing perfect bombs to receivers who didn't know how to catch a ball that was thrown that well to them.
Well, we're going to have to just wait and see if he can win that job.
See, that's been the theme of this entire year, and I hate it.
Well,
but okay, that's what I'm going with. I'm going with Sam Heward at number 1, Dylan Morris coming in at number 2, Sermon coming in as the dark horse at 3. I'm throwing Ethan Garbers down to 4. I am not sorry about it.
That is a horrible idea. Ethan Garbers is everything you'd want. He's
at 4.
I'm just going to agree to disagree on that one right there.
And you know what? That's okay. You are allowed to disagree. We're allowed to have our own opinions, and I gave you mine. You have yours. I'm sure that audience members out there have their own, and because of that, I want to thank you guys again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. You can catch us again here next week, hopefully same day, same time. That would be great to set up a schedule. Sorry. Again, I'm Joseph Claypool. This is Nathan Mathisen. You can follow us on our different social medias with our @. Sorry, I have a little bit of a burp coming. You can also follow Dashboards TV on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok @Dashboards TV. Please don't forget to check the best clips from today's episode at dashsports.tv, along with full episodes from our school and other schools. Thank you all. Have a great day. Thank you so much for showing up. This is Husky Dash signing off.